What's up, guys? This is another episode of Talk Time with Tony. Today we're going to explore In the Heights, the film. It just was released on June 11th. I saw an early premiere release on HBO Max with my girlfriend. We watched it at her place, and it was not a bad film. The transition from play to film is a bit astounding, but we'll get into that. This film was inspired by a play by Manuel Miranda, who created the Hamilton play, which is most known for. He's also worked on many other plays before that. He has a great repertoire and work history, really great. This film stars Anthony Ramos as the lead, USNAVI, Corey Hawkins as Benny, Melissa Berea as Vanessa, Leslie Grace as Nina, Jimmy Smits as Nina's dad. Star Wars fans know him as Bail Organa. Olga Moradiz as Claudia. She's the original abuela from the play. She reprises the role. Overall, her and I agreed we really liked the story and presentation of Latino culture in this film. Even her mom watched it with us, and she also agreed. She really appreciated some scenes where they really gave homage to Latino culture in New York. It really was a great, beautiful depiction of how Latinos have come from Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and many of the islands, even Cuba, to New York. And finding community here has been difficult for every culture that comes to New York, but especially Latinos, to find a place where you belong. And this film does a good job of that. I felt like out of every film I could ever watch about Latino culture, this film really does a good job of that. There was a film I did see a long time ago with Jimmy Smits. I think it's called Family Man, which does an interesting job, pretty good job of exploring that as well. I think it's called Family Man. You should just check up his filmography on IMDb. But he has done a lot of work doing movies about Latinos himself. So it's not so surprising to see him attached to this film. Overall, that is like a really good, strong thing that this film gives. The first to graduate college is a strong theme in this movie with Nina. And just spoilers ahead with this trailer, this review of the film. I want to give you that heads up. If you're familiar with the story of the play, you probably won't be bothered by what I have to say, but this is filled with spoilers, so just warning you now. So Nina is first to potentially graduate college. She's in school, and that's common with a lot of Latinos. And it's not just Latinos. A lot of cultures have the first to graduate college, the first to finish school. That's a common motif in a lot of groups. Latinos especially, we're very adamant with our family and education and supporting our kids, just like every other group. And Latino heritage, again, that's very important to see, and we really appreciated that. So Lin-Manuel Miranda's play was very different than this depiction, though. My girlfriend was very avid to point out certain details to me. She is a music buff. Unfortunately, she couldn't co-star in this episode. I'm thinking maybe inviting her to do that one time when we do a musical one day. But but in the meantime, I do have her notes on the film. And she did note a lot of deviations from the play. Benny and Nina were the main couple in the play. And in the play, Vanessa and USNAVI are the main couple. There's a scene that they are fighting and arguing in the movie. In the play, it's Benny and Nina that are having that argument. Claudia claims the ticket and splits the money between herself, SONNY, and USNAVI in the play. And the trip to Dominican Republic is just a vacation all of them are going to go on, all three of them. But in the movie, USNAVI is actually considering moving and restarting his life in Dominican Republic. The ticket isn't claimed until the end. Again, spoilers. Claudia passes away, and she leaves the ticket for USNAVI. He finds it when he's cleaning her apartment, and it's such a difference from what happens in the play. I kind of like the way they did that in the movie. That's one deviation I preferred and liked better. My girlfriend and her mom kind of liked the movie's version better in that area with that deviation. Benny had trouble fitting into Nina's family in the play, and them being a couple in the play was very intricate because her family were somewhat bigoted because he's black, and she chooses him over going back to school in the play. In the film, this is not explored at all. Nina's mom is not in the picture. I think she passed away in the movie. Benny and Nina are more like very close friends that have a somewhat romantic nuance to them, and then that kind of gets explored in the end of the play, but they don't really, become established as a couple at the end so much, which I actually don't like. I would have liked to. That sounds like such a more interesting story. I mean, Latinos were usually very mixed, so it's not very common for us to be bigoted like that in any regard. A lot of us have Native peoples, African, white, European, so, for that, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen among Latinos, even towards each other. So that would have been interesting to explore in the movie, but it wasn't. And I feel like it could have been, because there were a lot of excessive scenes. There were parts that I feel could have been cut in the movie, and it could have been those scenes could have been sacrificed for the sake of this kind of story with this couple. But what's interesting about that is it's been expressed in film before. Sidney Poitier starred in a film called Guess Who's Coming to Get Dinner, and it was Sidney Poitier played the lead, and I forgot who played the co-lead in that film. But it's very much similar to that story, in film. The surrealism in the film was a little disorienting. There's a fire escape scene where the two are dancing on the side of the wall of the building, and it gets a little weird. Then there's a part where a kid in a window breaks the fourth wall and looks at them or something. It was a little weird. There's a scene in a salon where there's dancing wigs, and Claudia's dream is a bit distracting too with the surrealism. There's certain points where the surrealism gets a little distracting from the music. Dancing was also a bit excessive to the point of distracting from the music again. Claudia's dream is the best example of that. She's in a train and, she's singing. It's part of her dream. And in the dream sequence, there's a lot of a lot of dancers being choreographed. And it's to the point where she's in a subway car and there's more and more people gradually throughout the song appearing in the car. And it's a bit daunting because you just want to focus on her singing, but you'd have to see the scene to understand what I'm saying. It's just, a bit much. They could have toned down the amount of dancing. There's even a pool scene where the pool looks ginormous, and I've never seen a community pool in this city of New York where it's that big. It's huge. I don't know where they filmed this. I don't know if they use mirrors or CGI to make it look that big, but a bit daunting. Again, the surrealism and the dancing, it takes it to a point of exaggeration and into a realm of ridiculousness. But, that's one of the major gripes with the film. Another major gripe was it suffers from lag and multiple endings towards the end. Multiple scenes where characters leave the community, they move. It just felt tiring. It suffers from the same multiple ending syndrome that Lord of the Rings Return of the King suffers from, where it's constantly ending. There's another ending, and it just dragged out the ending, the last 23 minutes. I feel like the film could have been shortened a little bit, especially this is where I would say cut some scenes like the women in the salon. I think they had way too much focus on the women in the salon. I get that's kind of a part of the culture. You got the women that want to focus on their nails and come over for bingo and, just hang out, dress up to hang out and come over to Abuela's house. I kind of get that's a thing in the culture they wanted to put in the film, but it just didn't really do anything for the narrative of the story. I mean, I would have sacrificed those character scenes for more story with Benny and Nina and actually putting their narrative from the play in the film. That would have been great, You could have almost make it Friends meets, Washington Heights, because in a lot of ways, USNAVI and Vanessa, their story was really good in the film, but Benny and Nina's story not really being there in the film was a missed opportunity for something really amazing. So, the lag, the multiple endings, it could have been cut down. Some scenes could have been cut. Some scenes could have actually been combined. like with some characters moving away and some characters leaving or might be leaving, they could have just combined those scenes, like the salon girls leaving, and then USNAVI closing up the shop and Vanessa approaching him and say, "Come back to the bodega. I need to show you something." Those could have been the same scene almost. You know, like right after the song and dance with the Carnival, you have the scene where the ladies from the salon move away to Grand Concourse, and then Vanessa approaches USNAVI and says, "Come to the bodega. I need to show you something." It could have been like almost the same scene. Like it was just, there's like a lot of lag. I don't know. But it's only towards the end. The beginning and the middle is like very good. Let me think. Also, the style of the musical is not what you're going to be used to. If this is the first time you see a Lin-Manuel musical, whether it's a play or a movie, his style, you know, my girlfriend and I were talking about it, and we both agree it's similar to the style of an opera. I was somewhat like stubbornly resistant. I'm like, no way. But then I'm like, you know what? They do talk. Like, they do say the lines of the dialogue and sing the lines of dialogue in an opera, too. But I realized the difference was that while his style is unique, why is it so unique? It's because it's an English musical, right? These operas are usually sung in Latin or Italian, and those are Romance languages. So this style is unique to English, like the English language, because it's not very romantic. The English language has a little bit of everything, all the European languages and then some. You have French, Italian, Spanish, you have a little bit of Latin, you have a little bit of German, actually a lot of German. Our language, the English, the root language, it comes from the Germanic vernacular. So to have English copy the style of opera in a way is a bit bizarre, because it's not really a romantic, fluid language like those languages are. It's a lot like how you make mozzarella cheese. It's all the different leftover parts of other cheeses. That's literally how our language is structured. So, you know, as well as the opera translates into, like, you know, Italian or Latin, you know, it won't really transfer that as well as smoothly in the English language. And you see that at times. Like, I noticed at times, like, in the movie, some song, like they're singing lines of dialogue, and it's just like, "You went to the grocery today to buy some sugar." It's like, all right, you know, is that part of the song and the soundtrack? Does that come up? I've never listened to the soundtrack myself, but she has, and she said, my girlfriend has told me that Lin does this style for a very good reason. He has a personal reason for doing this, and it's because when he grew up in Dominican Republic, he didn't have access to see a play, and even when he first came to New York, he didn't have the affordability to buy tickets to go to Broadway plays. So he would buy the soundtracks, or he would listen to the soundtracks, and try to get a feel for the story. So when he started making musicals, he actually makes the soundtracks and the songs to curtail to the poor and those that can't afford to go to Broadway plays. So that way they can get the entire story on the soundtrack without actually having to go and spend money they don't have on a ticket to go see the play. So, you know, I actually appreciate that about Lin-Manuel Miranda. I think that is a very noble reason to do that with his musicals and his work. But I will say that sometimes it does not work as well as you would hope in the film. With Hamilton, you know, I saw the play production. You know, it's a record. The film is technically a recording of the play. That feels like it is more fluid. I think Lin also has the cameo in this film. I don't know if he had direct control over the way they did the music in the film. That's something I'm not sure about. But I feel like, you know, maybe he had some input, but not as much as like Hamilton. But, you know, I could be wrong about that. That's something you'd have to double check. But overall, you know, this film was very enjoyable, despite certain issues towards the end with the scenes and other things I mentioned. The music was very good in this film. It's very enjoyable. The music is going to get 4 stars. The acting was phenomenal. I loved all the actors. I was only familiar with Anthony Ramos and Jimmy Smits. All these other actors I mentioned earlier are all new to me. And the writing was very good. I still like the story that was presented in the film. I thought it was very beautiful. And the setting, special effects, you know, That gets a 3 only because of the gripe I mentioned with the surrealism being a bit distracting from the music and the choreography and the songs, you know. But overall, this film is going to get 4.5 stars for me. It's a very enjoyable film. You could watch it with your family. You know, I would highly recommend it if you have a music buff in your family. Please watch it with them. Watch it with your friends. You know, it's very good with capturing the Latino culture in the city. It's a very good work of Lin-Manuel Miranda that's put out there now, and you should check it out. So, you know, get together with someone, sit down together, watch this film, talk about it, you know, bond, and have a good time with this film, because it is a good film. And I 4.5 stars, man. I mean, you know, the only gripe is really the main things I mentioned before, and you should really enjoy this film. All right, this has been Talk Time with Tony, and thank you. If you've been listening on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you've been listening on podcasts, please subscribe and enjoy. Have a great time.